Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, today we're here for another session on data scientist, data analyst. Is there a difference? So this session is going to be led by Philomena. Philomena Mbura is actually a data scientist, and she's also an AI engineer. She's also a Google Women Tech Makers ambassador, and she's passionate about building tech communities. She has participated in various initiatives such as the World Summit Awards, Rotary, Rotaract. Demonstrating a firm belief in the importance of giving back to the community. And so with clapping and jubilation, guys, let us invite Philomena Mbura. Welcome, Philomena.
Hi, thanks, Rachel. I hope my voice is okay. I have a cold. Yes, it's
Yes,
gonna be a little rough. Yeah, so thanks, Rachel, for the warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
thank you. So yes, I would like you to take the stage. Huh.
Okay.
So today we're going to be talking about data science and data analysis, and I know that you prepared something amazing for us. So maybe you would like to tell us where we can start from, so that we can pick up from it. Yeah. Oh, just a moment. She's left the call, so I'm sure she's joining again. Okay, so Philomena is joining us shortly. I think you're muted.
Oh, okay. Sorry, lost my network. Wi-Fi is disconnected. So I've connected on my phone.
Oh, okay. That's okay. So just to confirm, can everyone hear us so that we are all together? Thumbs up. Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you so much again for joining the session. So let's just get on to the session. So Philomena, I do have, a couple of questions that I'm sure a lot of people in data would want to understand, even those who are not in data, right? Have you ever wondered if you're like a data analyst or you're data scientist or data people literally like data engineer or both? Sometimes I always ask myself as well, what do these people, who are they? What is your name? Define yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Everybody starts from somewhere. And even me, when I was getting into the field, I also had the same questions. I remember when I was transitioning into data, I reached out to a business analyst to try and ask him, um, what's the difference? Like I want to do data. I've tried to do all these courses online, but I don't
Mhm.
get the difference between all these things. Am I going into data science, data engineering, data analysis, and all the like? So I definitely get the question. Um, so I've always so I would say um, a data analyst is somebody who focuses on analyzing the data at hand, and you want to understand it in a historical perspective so that you can be able to provide like recommendations to the business or whatever the data is relevant to. But a
Mhm.
data scientist, on the other hand, is somebody who, as much as you're doing a lot of this analysis, and you still need that the analysis skills for the EDA part of the work, you are focusing more on building models and prediction of the future, and also kind of being more innovative. So data science is more innovative and has some engineering perspective, but the data analyst focuses on Excel at the as a basic minimum. And then right now in the day and age, you can go into things like Python, learning how to write Python code, learning how to write SQL so that you can be able to pull your data and having it on the dashboards. Yeah. So
Mhm.
when I started initially, I was working under an AI engineer. His title was AI engineer in my first role, and I was an intern. And I was so confused because his role was basically data analysis. But at that point in time, I didn't know that it's just data analysis and it was just maybe quote unquote a fancy way to put, the names where companies use them interchangeably. Um,
Yeah.
but over time, as you continue to do the work, is where you're able to actually differentiate the two and you're able to set the lines between the different roles. But I hope it's clear enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So data science is feels like it's more predictive, kind of.
Yeah.
It deals more of the future, and then data analysis looks at should I say the past?
Kinda. Um, I know they overlap a lot because even in data science, you'll find that you're looking at the past, but then you're
Mhm.
focusing a lot on machine learning models. Be it you're doing clustering or all those things, but now you're using machine learning in it. So the data analysts may use machine learning, but then it's not entirely part of their JD. They don't necessarily have to know how to do those things. Like when I was working in a certain company,
Mhm.
um, the data analysts were using basically just Excel. And when I went there, because now I had learned a bit of Python and SQL, it was it was very new to them because you're working with people who've been in the field for so long. They're called senior data analyst, manager, you know, manager data analyst. I don't know the
Big
managers.
big words.
Yeah, but then they basically stop at Excel. But now with the way things are going, you can't stop at just Excel. Excel is a very powerful tool, but you need to get also the coding perspective and also building dashboards because that's how the business is going to consume the data.
Okay, okay, okay. So you've actually talked about building dashboards. That's actually the last statement that you've said. So you definitely right now you actually work with dashboards, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
You also build models.
Hmm. Yeah.
And all that is also related to Excel. Is Excel involved in that too?
I'd say Excel is a starting point. It's a very powerful tool, and I don't think if you're in data, you can ever really abandon it. You'll still need it at the end of the day. Because when you're
Mm-hmm,
doing the basic analysis, you can just do it and complete it on Excel and make your charts and make your
mm-hmm,
points and be able to present to the business.
mm-hmm,
But now, dashboards makes things easier for you as a data analyst, stroke data scientist, if you
mm-hmm,
want the business to be able to consume the data without your intervention. Because if you're doing Excel, that means you need to be the one. You write the SQL code, you pull the data, and then you do
ah,
analysis on Excel. You make those charts and the rest, and then you share with the teams. But then when you
mm,
build dashboards, it makes it you automate the process because you connect it to the database and then now you're able to make charts that automatically update with time in real time with the data. And now, like the visualizations are there. So the business has the flexibility of putting filters. Maybe they want to see between this date and this date, or they want to see this region. So
mhm,
dashboards is an easier way for the business to consume the data without you having to be the in between for them. So now they
mhm,
can even do their own analysis and make their own insights without you having
mhm.
to be the in between.
Ah, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And then the models part now is the data science side. So you said I do dashboards and Excel and models, It's because I'm in a startup, but you'll find that most startups use the data roles interchangeably because that it's a small team, so you're gonna end up doing most of these things. But if you're in a big company where there's like structured JDs for every team, you'll find that the roles might overlap a bit, but not so much. The data scientist will focus on the models. There'll be the machine learning engineer who'll focus on the ML pipelines. There'll be the data engineer who'll focus on the data pipelines. There'll be the data analyst who's doing the analysis for the business, and there'll also be a business analyst. But now in like
Mm.
small teams, you'll find you're probably doing most of those things.
Mm. And to be very honest, as you're speaking, right? I feel like you're convincing me to become a data scientist. So I'm just wondering,
You're
right?
welcome. You were
So I'm
once
just
one, right?
wondering,
So you're
yeah,
welcome.
yeah. So I'm wondering if I'm a beginner, right? What would you advise? Where should I start with data? Like, okay, I've decided to start with data analysis. Should I think about, okay, fine, this is just a start. At least you've talked about Excel, right? So that's a good place to start. But
Mhm.
like, okay, when I'm starting with Excel, am I starting as an analyst? Am I starting as a scientist? Am I doing AI? Like, like where am I going to start?
Honestly, it depends on your end goal.
Mm-hmm,
Because maybe different tasks require you to have different skills. Like the skills for a data engineer, not necessarily the skills for a data scientist or data analyst, as much as they overlap. But
mm-hmm,
if you're focusing on data analysis, because maybe that's what we're talking about today,
mm-hmm,
I think you need to go to school for that. There's so many resources online that you can be able to learn with. For
mm-hmm.
me personally, I started with YouTube because YouTube was free and I was broke at that time. So you
I like
can
how
learn
honest you are.
because most of these courses are expensive, yeah, even if it's the online um things like Coursera and Udemy, that they require money. It may seem a little to some people, but when the knowledge is free and you can get it from YouTube, I mean, why not? Um,
Mm,
you can start with basically just learning the difference between this thing, and then now you
mhm,
decide what sounds interesting, and then you focus on it. Don't learn everything at once because you're gonna end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. And if you're not a
mm.
master of anything, you're not gonna get the jobs because you're gonna just be
Oh,
everywhere. So
dropping
that's the
bombshell.
starting point. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So you
okay.
start with the tutorials, go to analysis, learn what analysis is, learn how to write basic SQL, learn
Mhm,
how to write basic Python,
mhm,
learn things like pandas,
mhm,
matplotlib, learn how to create those basic visualizations,
mhm,
and then you can transition to other things as you continue to progress and learn more and build
mhm,
more projects. You may find yourself even going into data science over
mhm,
time, but the analysis you can start with there as a starting point, build your
mhm,
portfolio, and start making those applications when you have a portfolio to show that you can actually do something because it would
mhm.
really help. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just wondering, can you be a data scientist without knowing data analysis?
Honestly, no, I don't think you'd be a very shallow data scientist. I mean, it's maybe possible if you're gonna just take your data and then put a model, a random model, go to ChatGPT, you know, it gives you code, but it's not gonna be the best thing because you're probably not gonna understand how your system works, and that goes against AI, responsible AI, where
Mhm,
you need to understand actually how your models work so that you can be able to explain to the relevant stakeholders. So you definitely need to know data analysis because you're going to start with EDA, what we call explanatory data analysis.
mhm,
It's a step of data science. You start with understanding the business problem, then you go to cleaning the data, then you go to EDA. So EDA, you literally explore the data just as it says. You learn the different relationships between your different columns. You learn
mhm,
how um, maybe factor X is affecting factor Y. If your target maybe is users, you try and
mhm,
understand how different variables affect the users. And this
mhm,
goes a long way into how you're going to even build your model. because it's going to help you to even understand the important variables to put there. It's going to help you to even explain to the business. Maybe you're presenting a model and it's at 98% accuracy and asking you how it's working. You need to know why your data is behaving that way and why it's predicting that way at that kind of accuracy, which starts from EDA. So you can't be a data scientist without data analysis unless you want to be a very shallow one where you just put data code and
Mhm.
it just generates something for you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. EDA. I've forgotten what the E stands for. Data analysis.
Exploratory,
Sorry, it's what?
exploratory, explore.
Exploratory
Yeah.
data analysis. I hope we're all learning a thing of two about data science and data analysis. And something you mentioned, Philomena, you said cleaning data. So if you're always cleaning data, is that data analysis or is that data science? And for the people who don't know what that is, what cleaning data is, please, you can just give us a rough foundation and then build on that.
Okay, so cleaning data is so when you get into the field, you probably start with data sets from Kaggle, Zindi, and the likes. And you'll find that most of those data don't have how do I put it this in layman terms? Outliers. I hope you
Yeah.
understand what outliers is. Like if maybe your data is supposed to range from 0 to 100. You have data that is at 1 million in that same column. So those are
Mm,
outliers. So when you have things like those, and even things like missing data or duplicate data or,
mhm,
duplicate columns or, data that has a lot of collinearity. So that's messy data, depending on what you're building, the collinearity part, but the missing data, duplicate, etc is
mhm,
messy data. So cleaning is when you're removing that mess. So when you're
mhm,
trying to make your data what's represent the actual truth on the ground, and also at the same time for it to be interpretable by you as the analyst, and also for it to be able to be passed into the model. Because you'll find
mhm,
even some models cannot take in missing data, and you might end up having the wrong results when you have dirty data. So, as a data analyst or a data scientist, to go back to your question,
mhm.
both of you have to clean your data.
Oh,
As it says with Giggle, garbage in, garbage out. If you are an analyst and you use dirty data, you're going to give the wrong insights to the business and you're going to
mhm.
end up making the business lose money.
Okay.
If you're a data scientist, you're going to
Mhm,
give the wrong predictions or the wrong model, and you're going to cost the business money or come up with the wrong predictions and insights, which will inform the business decisions at the end of the day. So
mm,
even the data engineer and the likes, I think one of the core roles of a data engineer is to make sure the data is clean as possible, I think, or to make
mhm,
sure I'm not a data engineer, but I know they do the pipelines and the likes to make sure the data is okay. So
mhm,
clean data is one of the major things in the data field, regardless of which stack you're in. And
mhm,
you're going to have to learn how to understand your data, whether
mhm,
it means you're going to talk to the relevant stakeholders to be able to know how data should look like. Then you
mhm,
need to do that as a data person so that you can be able to manipulate the data to
mhm.
be able to make the right decisions.
Oof, oof. Oh my God, that is so much juicy information. So, for everyone who has just joined us, we're talking about data science and data analysis. We're just trying to find out, is there really a difference? Go in depth with it. We've talked about exploratory data analysis, which is foundational in data science. We've talked about the various roles when it comes to data science. We've talked about cleaning of your data, how it's both important to the data scientist and to the analyst. And even when you're starting in data, we've talked about how Excel is a very good point to start and grow into, going into dashboards and building some models. So I mean, personally, I'm super excited to say the least. So I don't know if we have somebody who has a question before we go on. Does anybody have a question that you'd like to ask Philomena? maybe concerning what she's talked about, just raise your hand, unmute your mic, and give a point. Going once, going twice. All right. Um, yeah. So I guess we can go on. So, Philomena, you talked about Python. You have mentioned some softwares, very, very interesting ones. So where really do these things come in? Like Python, machine learning. One of the things I hear a lot about is Tableau. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a beginner, right? And I want now to start, maybe I've learned Excel. I want now to start getting into those dashboards that you're telling me about. You say that we need to even build a portfolio. So like, where does the whole coding, where does it all come in?
With Python,
Uh-huh.
with Python, basically I'd say right now it's one of the basic skills of a data analyst, data scientist,
Uh-huh.
etc. Maybe it wasn't before, but right now I feel like you wouldn't get any role if you don't have those skills.
Uh-huh.
So it's where you're able to, first of all, consume the data, you know. Um, so you've already, let me start again from SQL. So there's SQL, first of all. So now SQL is the code you write to pull data from the database. And then once you pull
Uh-huh.
the data from the database, you get it on your laptop as a CSV file or an Excel file. And then
Uh-huh.
now using Python, you work on your notebook. What we call notebook, the IDE that we use for data science, or you
Okay.
can go to VS Code as long as it's like a Python, IDE.
Uh-huh.
And now you write the Python code, and then you use the Python libraries like matplotlib and pandas to be able to consume the data. And then now
Uh-huh.
you do those analysis, like checking for missing data, cleaning the data you're going to do with pandas. Check for missing data. You decide, depending on the distribution of your data or whether it's categorical data, continuous data, how you're going to fill those missing values using pandas. And then now you check for duplicates, you use pandas again, either to drop the duplicates. I don't think there's anything else you can do with duplicates, actually, you just drop them.
Uh-huh.
Um, or and now you do your cleaning, and then you go to things like Matplotlib and Seaborn. Now it helps you to visually represent the data. So this is both for you and also for the business. So that's the EDA part where you get to understand how your data looks like. You can look at things like distribution, outliers. You
Uh-huh.
can look at the relationship between different
Uh-huh.
variables. You can draw your pie charts. You can draw your bar charts. You can draw your line graphs to look at the trends,
Uh-huh.
um, understand the data. So that's Python basically. And also when you get to building the machine learning model, it's still
Uh-huh.
Python that you're going to use. Because now you asked for the models part, you have the different types of models. You have the supervised and you have the unsupervised models. So under supervised, you have your labeled data, you have your target variable, and now you build a model based on that. Unsupervised, now you need to learn the patterns in the data, and whether you're going to do something like clustering or something of your customers, then you
Uh-huh.
do that. So that's where Python comes in. So about the dashboards, which is Tableau, the one of the tools you mentioned. So
Uh-huh.
dashboards is what I had explained before, where you get to represent the data to the business. So they're able to consume the data without you being an in between. They can put on the different filters that you put for them, whether it's based on date, region, whatever, based on the business that you have. Even it can be at a product level. Maybe it's like a supermarket or something. You can filter bread, filter milk, filter what, know how it's performing, how much sales you have on bread, how has the trend been going, has it gone low, has it gone high over time through the different charts that you've put on your dashboard. So you have tools like Tableau, which you mentioned, you have ClickSense, you have Preset, you have Power BI. All those are just dashboarding tools for business intelligence. Um,
Mm.
you asked about dashboards and you asked about models in Python. What was the other one?
I think I also asked about portfolio. Now,
Oh.
yeah, like how does a portfolio of a data scientist look like? Because you see, I think your area is usually so confusing because at least for for someone like a UI UX, I know that when I go to Behance, this is what they've done, right? An Android developer, these are their apps. A web
Mhm.
developer, this is you get
Yeah.
okay data. Uh-huh.
One of the things is that, like, even the dashboards, you
Ah.
build a dashboard and you publish
Mm,
it. And that's
mm,
one of the things that you can put on your portfolio. You can build a model and
mm,
then,
mm,
um, oh, there's a question. You can build a model
mm,
and then now you deploy it,
mm,
and then even if you do not deploy it, having that code on GitHub so
mm,
that somebody who has a technical background can still see. But if you're able to have it as an output, then you can
mm.
go ahead and do it. So I don't have much of experience on that end, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, because the places I've been, there's always been data engineers to aid with that. But yeah, so make sure you're just able to put in your work. You can use things like GitHub. You can, I've seen people who use, I forget the name. Um, you're forgetting the name. Yeah, like a place where you can be able to host your projects. Maybe I can look for it after. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just put links to the different projects you have, and then you share it with the recruiters, and you can choose to make it public or private depending on the the integrity of the data that you're handling.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much for that, Philomena. And actually, Edwin has talked about, talk about data storytelling, which actually brings me to the next question that I wanted to ask you about, right? So if someone gave you a messy data set, right, would
Yeah.
you know what story it's trying to tell? Maybe we can start from there before we build on that.
You go back to, first of all, being it messy, you need to clean the data. And
Mm-hmm,
if you're not a domain expert for the data that you're currently handling, make
mm-hmm,
sure to involve somebody who's in that domain so that they can be able to um, explain or elaborate some of these things to you. Because you may want to understand the data, but it's not your domain and it's completely new and you don't know what it should look like. So
mm-hmm,
you need to be able to involve the stakeholders so that I can explain to you some of the things that you'll encounter. You may find columns that don't entirely make sense. For example, like for me, where I'm currently working, when I joined, you'll find um, a column called LTD. And you're wondering, what is LTD?
yeah.
So yeah, you have to go and now ask the business side, what is LTD? How does it usually look like? What does it represent? Now, then
Mm-hmm,
you as the data person, once you understand that, you go into that data, you clean the data should you need to clean it because now you know the constraints in which it should lie within. And
mm-hmm,
then now you are able to build a story. So for the data storytelling bit, it depends on the person who's consuming the data, first of all. So you need to know if it's management level, you need
mm-hmm,
to know if it's business level, like everybody, and also
mm-hmm,
you need to know if it's like tech level. So everybody is going to be interested in different things. So if you're telling a story with the data and you want to present to the business, make sure you understand your audience and what they actually want to see. So, for example, if you're going to the managerial level, you're not going to go to them and tell them at a basic sales level, Rachel is the one who did the most sales or this and this bits. Like they don't probably care about that. They want to know like aggregated level. What are the sales we are making? What are the regions that are performing the best? And things like those. Maybe you may have a leaderboard that they may be interested in, but they don't want to know the poor performing one and the best performing one and all those things unless it's within the region of the things that they would be the ones to make the decisions about. If it's
mm-hmm,
about the tech level, they have also the things depending on the team that you're working with. But about data storytelling, I think your best friend should be visualization. They make things a whole lot easier,
mm-hmm,
better than me coming here and explaining to you. In January, we had 1,000. In February, we had 900. In March,
mm-hmm,
we had 800. And,
mm-hmm,
like by the time I'm getting to December, you don't even know the first figure I mentioned. It would have been easier for you to do a line graph that shows that it's a reducing line. So a business person immediately sees it and says our sales are reducing, and it's been reducing at this rate over the few months. If it's distribution of your consumers, or the different products that you're doing, if it's about the sales, use a pie chart, show that bread is the one we've sold the most. It's 70% of our sales, and milk is
Mm,
just 30% of our sales. Instead of me mentioning it like that, if you put it in a visual way, the business is able to look at it and interpret it, make it as easy as possible to consume, and also
mhm,
put basic insights. What I've learned is just one liner words or something. This
mhm,
percentage influences this, or we've seen a relationship between this. As this was decreasing, this has increased, and something like that. You can even do like a hypothesis testing or whatever, but that goes to the data science side. But anyway, data storytelling is about knowing your audience, knowing what they're interested in knowing. And also, even you as a data science person, they might not, as a data analyst, they might not know what they need to know. Now it's up to you to know what they may need to know that may be of interest to them. Yeah.
ah. Edwin, maybe you can, ask more questions based on that topic. But actually, what you've talked about, Philomena, that you need to know your audience. So one thing I do know is I am a product manager, right? And product managers work a lot with data analysts and data scientists to make decisions. So I just like to give you a scenario. Assuming that there's a product that we're supposed to build, right? It's in its conceive phase. So conceive phase for a product manager is like it's in ideation, right? And of course, in that, a data analyst is very important because we need to know about the market. We need to know about, what other competitors are doing. So I just wanted to understand what your work as a data analyst would be, and even as a data scientist, what would be your input to me as a product manager? And how would you, since we're also just talking about data storytelling, right? How would you, tell your story to a product manager so that we know that we can now move from ideation and maybe go to, developing the product. Like, this is a good product, based on the data that you have offered.
I don't know. I've never really worked in a company that's in the ideation stage, but I would
Mm-hmm,
say mind is a lot of market research. So you do a lot of market research online
mm-hmm,
to be able to find out like a competitive edge over the other companies. So what's
mm-hmm,
working for them, what's not working for them with the available data. You can even go ahead and do things like data scraping, the web scraping bit, so that you can
mm-hmm,
get information and do things like sentiment analysis. That's the data science side, to be able to understand the customers' general sentiments about some of these products or what you're trying to get into. So I'd say largely it's about understanding your competitive edge and getting that gap where you feel like your competitors have not really met. And it is mostly you just leveraging online, doing your research. You can even leverage on some of these AI tools. You can go ahead and do like a deep search, because I know there's like deep search on ChatGPT and things like this. You
mm-hmm,
can still leverage on some of those things. But as far as the analysis goes, it's you getting that data. You can build even a dashboard. You can build um, a story for the business people to be able to understand how this product has been working for other people, and maybe the kind of profit margins they may be having, and what you expect to have, the profit margins you expect to have with your product. Try
mm-hmm,
and research. I feel like most of this goes to the product owner side, but
mm-hmm,
research on how much it would take to be able to make it, maybe do some of this course. If it's an existing business and you want to expand, you can do like the similarity analysis between different regions to see how it has worked with this region and how it can be able to work with another region that may have similar attributes. You can even try and build a model to predict some of the sales based on the
mm-hmm,
data that you have, to
mm-hmm,
see, to project some of the sales that you can be have and forecast it forward. Yeah.
mm. Oh, wow. Wow, wow. Guys,
It's
yeah?
relatively new to, let's say, top of mind. That's what I would, where I would start as I continue to navigate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh wow, wow. Um, amazing, amazing. You've talked about very, very key points, and I would just like, to go back to the audience in case you do have any questions, right? Feel free to, raise your hand or leave a comment, and we'll be able to answer your questions and give further insights, or even if you have, more ideas on the conversation. So I would really love to know, right? How much of data analysis do you do as a data scientist on a daily on your job?
I feel like mine is biased because, as I
Uh-huh.
told you, I'm in that small company. So a lot of the roles, like you are the data person. You're not
Uh-huh.
data analyst, data scientist, data engineer. So it would
Okay.
definitely vary. But I do a lot of analysis. But we've been trying our best to empower the business to be able to consume the data on their own. That is building the dashboards and providing the data for them to be able to even come up with the insights for themselves. Because there's only
Mhm,
so much you can do. You're the one building models, looking at everything that's going on around data and building dashboards and analysis, etc.
mhm,
But I'd say your analysis never stops, whether you're in a big company or a small company where the team is small.
mhm,
um, you're still gonna do analysis on a daily basis because you're gonna need to understand your data. If you're a data scientist, you're gonna do EDA. And building a model is usually iterative. You never see past EDA and then you go build your model and you're done. You're always gonna go find out something, come back, do analysis, go back, try see if you'll improve model performance, think of something else, check if this column can be added, do feature engineering, do
mhm,
EDA again, the relationship, build model again. You're gonna do a lot of analysis. There's no way you're gonna escape. Like I said, unless you want to build very shallow models.
mhm. Oh, wow, 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 wow. So basically, I'm just wondering if I'm a beginner, I feel like working in a company like that, working in a startup would be the best thing for me. What do you think?
Honestly, yes. I'd say you're gonna be stressed out, but you're gonna learn because you're going to be touching everything, and then
Mm,
also you're going to be very innovative in your own way because you have the flexibility of making some of this decision because it's not like a bureaucratic place where it goes like very many steps before anything is approved. So you're
mhm,
definitely gonna learn if you're in a smaller company, but you may end up very overstretched sometimes.
mhm.
But I guess it's part of the learning journey. Yeah, I guess it would be a good starting point for anyone. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much, Philomena. So Gilba asks, give us a roadmap on how to go about data science as a beginner. I think we've actually touched on it a bit, but yeah.
Um, so I'd say leverage on the free tools that we have. So many free tools that you can use right now that
Mhm,
probably even weren't there when I was learning.
mhm,
So first of all, me, I started with YouTube. So there are very many tutorials which you can follow along on YouTube,
mhm,
that you can be able to learn from the basic level. You can even start from the basics. Like if you're completely new, what is data? Go into YouTube and search, a tutorial on that. But I'd say it's easier to follow, to do like, these tutorials that like a step by step. I don't know how
mm,
to explain them. The way you start from this, they explain this, you move on to the next thing. It's more like a playlist that you follow through
mm,
on different channels.
mhm,
I can try and remember some of these channels, but it's been a long time. So where you follow along step by step, than touching everything at once. Like if you say you want to start from data science, or you want to start to learn data science, go and look on YouTube and write basics of data science. Do that video. They're usually like 5 hours long. Do it step by step. You're not going to take 5 hours to do that video. Definitely, you're going to take a few days, even if it's a 5 hour video. The stories for, become a data scientist in 5 hours are never true. So you're going to take a few days to actually consume and understand that data. Move on to the next video, follow a tutorial. Now start building projects, maybe basic projects, such a tutorial that can help you to build a basic project. Put it as one of your things on portfolio, put it on GitHub, put your content out there. You can even go ahead and write an article about what you've learned. People, literally, recruiters love when you put your things out there because you're visible and people are able to see what you're doing. We vocal on LinkedIn. Today I learned this, I built this. You'll see recruiters will even come to you and opportunities will come to you. So I would say the best advice is to use tutorials that are step by step guided tutorials. Don't try doing this tutorial A, B, C, D at the same time. It's going to confuse you. Like I had said before, don't be a jack of all trades. Try and focus on one thing, understand it, move on to the next thing. It's better to understand things in depth than to have a shallow level understanding of everything at once. I
Mm.
think I don't know if I can do like a, let me even try on my laptop right now to do this, to look for some of the tutorials that I used when I was
Okay.
starting. Yeah.
Okay. But Gilba, I think that that's a really, really good foundation that Philomena has given, right? Look for basics of data science, basics of data analysis, and from there you'll get to know the foundational things. There's so many blogs, YouTube, a lot of people who speak on this thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see things like free code camp, which I used. I can see I watched the video like halfway. Yeah.
Mhm.
Udreka, they also have videos. Um, there are a lot, and I think that oh sorry, I went on mute.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's Simply Learn, Udreka, and all those things. Like if you go on YouTube, you're gonna find this um channels and you can be able to just follow along. But if you also have enough money, you can go to Udemy, Coursera, and all those places, and you can
Mhm,
get tutorials that are more in depth, maybe, and you're gonna
mhm,
get a certification at the end because you've paid for it if you want it to be a part of your CV. And also all these schools that have come up that that they're a bit expensive, the physical schools. So unless you're financially capable to do that, I would recommend you just learn online and be able to build a few things and start your applications.
mm. Okay, so over to Alan. That's a very interesting question. How did you go about getting your first job as a data analyst? It's not an easy task, you know. Alan, we're in this with you. But yeah, good question. Mhm.
Yeah.
The fact
So
that you're laughing.
I remember I'd gone into this spiral of not knowing what I'm going to do with my life.
Hmm.
So I was working as a Android developer at first. I was
Hmm.
also self-taught. Everything has been self-taught.
Hmm.
But now I figured out, I was like, Android is not doing it for me, and I don't feel like it's something I'm gonna do. Then I went into this spiral for very many months, probably even more than a year, where I didn't know what I was gonna do. And then that's when I discovered data. So I discovered data through an internship I was doing, and I was having a conversation. I was doing an internship in HR, and I was having a conversation with one of the ladies in HR, and then she told me about people analytics. And when she told me about people analytics, she was telling me from the angle of data because she learned my background was math. So she told me, look into people analytics and it's something that you can actually do. So after that, I went into this self-learning thing, these YouTube tutorials, things like those, applications, but I was not getting any jobs. So I reached out to a friend. I asked him if they have any opportunities where he was working. It was a company in Gara. Said no. So he said unless I work pro bono, I offered to work pro bono, which means I was not being paid. And the CTO agreed to do that. So I would go to work every day and go back home, struggle here and there with fare and stuff. But that is how I got my first role, where I was working for free for a few months before I actually got a paying role, which was definitely very tough, but I guess it was part of the journey.
Oh, oh my God, interesting. So, Alan, I hope that really does help. And I think also Philomena, one thing that I'd also recommend is for people to join Mastercraft, because it's literally going to have that working environment. And I know that you're one of the mentors at Mastercraft. Hey, you've already come up with let me tell you, let me just give you guys a little bit of tea. Philomena is a very organized data analyst. I mean, data science. She's so organized. I mean, the data track is so sorted. You have one of the best mentors. Let me just say that. Um, yeah, so sure, do join Mastercraft. I will share the link in the comment section, where you'll be able to work with people, different teams. So you work with the product manager, you'll do the whole data storytelling, all those things. You'll be working on a real world product, cross-functional team. It's remote, it's flexible. So yeah, and the best part about it is that you're going to be mentored by Philomena herself. So yeah, you're assured that you're going to come out of the program as a whole different and new person with a totally different mindset. So yeah, maybe we can even just talk about, how would my resume look like if I'm going into data? Like, what are the key things that any data scientist is expected to have in their resume? Maybe it's skills or even experience, maybe even as a beginner.
Honestly, I feel like your CV should just show basic interest as a beginner. Like even when I go through people's CVs, you might be in a completely different field and you want to join data, but nothing on your CV shows that you're doing anything in regard to that. Even when you follow this YouTube tutorial, you're building small, small things. Put links for those projects there. Explain what you have done. Even if you don't have that work experience, explain in your CV, like, the things you've been putting, the skills that you have learned. Have a section for the skills, whether it's Python, Matplotlib. Show a little bit of interest. It goes a long way to show the recruiter that you're actually angling towards this, the field. You can't have a completely
Mhm,
blank CV, like, it's just has your degree that you did, maybe BCom in school, and now you want to do data science, but you have nothing that you've written that you've been doing in your free time to actually angle
mhm,
yourself towards that. Just
mhm,
put the basic things you've been doing. It goes a long way. And also attend community. Community helps a lot. Like for
mhm,
me, after that, even that person that I reached out to for that job, pro bono job, I had met through the community. And now,
mm,
even after that, all the jobs literally that I've gotten so far through the community. Like my current role, I was doing a presentation. After my presentation, there was a CTO who was there and he expressed that there was a job that was available. And that's how I got my current job. So put yourself out there, even when you're scared. And when you're a beginner or whatever you are, you like it goes a long way. That basic interest, it goes a long way.
mm. Oh, and Perpetua actually asks, at what point of self-learning did you feel you were ready to start applying for jobs? Oh,
I don't know. I remember I was applying for internships so much that
mm-hmm,
the my mentor at the time,
mm-hmm.
who I was putting as my reference, told me that if you apply for any other internship, remove me as your reference because I'm not going to be your referee anymore for this internship. You need to apply for jobs.
Mm,
Yeah, because it's very hard. You have that imposter syndrome. You always feel like you're not
mm,
there.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you're not there yet. But literally just put yourself out there. There's always somebody who's willing to give you that chance, and you're going
yeah,
to get that environment to learn. And let me tell you, every expert was once a beginner. Everyone,
yeah.
even the person who's building some very crazy products out there, started from somewhere. So what's the
Mhm.
worst that can happen if you actually just start? Apply. Even after doing that one project, apply.
It's it's so true. In fact, I remember, Philomena, I was actually remembering, you've talked about community and you're also talking about, applying for roles at your company, right? I remember I think 1 year in Android. And there was a role for senior Android engineer. And I remember Philomena telling me, send your resume. And I was like, you did what? I was like, fine, I'm sending.
And
Like
what's the
that,
worst that can happen? Send.
nothing, by the way. So
And I
I
even
actually
went and
got the
shared to the team. There's this girl, she's very willing to learn.
yeah. So the thing is, yes, community really helps. Your circles really, really do help. I mean, I totally agree with you. Even some of the jobs that I've been interviewing for, like in the past few months, the ones that I saw on LinkedIn didn't ask me for interviews, but the ones who I was referred through my friend, I'm in round two. I mean, that's good progress. You get.
Yeah.
And I transitioned into product management in January. So community is so important, and I totally agree with you on that. Um, so Alan also, just talks about something off topic. So if anyone who has an opening junior role, paid or unpaid in data, like such, to get the first touch of experience, hit me up. Alan, definitely, I'm sure everyone has seen and heard, but I would also advise join Mastercraft because you will be getting real world experience without having to struggle, and it'll be easier for you to get a role. Yeah. So, how long did it take you to break through from day one of learning to the day you got your first job? How long did you label yourself as a data analyst? And how long have you labeled yourself as a data scientist? Whoa. Whoa. I feel like that was a bombshell. Okay.
Okay, so for Alan, where he's talking about people reaching out to him, I'd advise you reach out to people. Go to LinkedIn, send them messages, attach your mini, and tell them you're willing to work and express what you've done so far. People will boutique you, people will know, but I know a lot of people who've gotten their first roles like that and at very good companies. Just that basic showing interest and putting the work you've done out there. Anyway, so for Matthew, how long did it take you? Honestly, I don't even know if I have an answer to this. From the one of learning till you first got your job. Do I have an answer for that?
Hmm.
Honestly, I can't remember. It was a few months. But then again, I was already in a different field before that. But it was a few months, and you know, I want to use this word very very loosely. Like no one really cares what your title is, data analyst, data science, as in
Hmm.
no one is really going to like dig deep and say, you wrote data scientist, now show me your scientist. Like if you're a beginner, you can write aspiring data scientist. I know a lot of people write that, but I'd say just go ahead and call yourself a data scientist and build those basic projects.
Yeah.
There's always a starting point. There's nobody who's going to define that you are or are not a data scientist, as long as you've done a bit of learning into it. And if you've maybe not built anything, you can start with calling yourself aspiring. And then now when you build that one, two projects, right, data scientist, no one is going to punish you for doing that. Position yourself, however you present yourself to the world is the way the world is going to take you.
Hmm.
Don't overthink it. And my journey is not your journey. Even if
Mm-hmm.
I took uh 10 months and then you might take 1 month or even a few weeks, or my journey can never be your journey. And I remember I used to ask people, a lot of people, this question of how long did you take before you became, how long did you take before you became, until I realized the journey is never going to be mine and it's never going to align. I have my colleagues who are in the same field, maybe even the same, but the length they took or the time they took to get their first jobs is not the length they took to get my first job. So you just do your best.
Mm. Mm. I love that. I love that, Philomena. Guys, I hope we're learning. And I've pasted the Space Your Tech WhatsApp channel in the spirit of community. You can always join the channel to always get updates, job updates, what programs are going on, which mentors are coming to speak, what events are happening. Build your circles, build your community and build your networks. Yeah. So, oh, time has actually gone. So I'd like to ask, does anybody have a parting short question? Because it is 9 p.m. and we love to keep time here at Spacia Tech. Anybody with a question? All right. Okay. Great, guys. Thank you so much. You have been such a consistent and amazing audience. Thank you so much to our speaker, Philomena Mbura. She is going to be a mentor at Mastercraft under the data analyst. Whoa, data analytics track. So yeah, you definitely want to be a part of the program to experience such an amazing person, and also to create and build your networks. For those who are asking, how can I get real world experience? This is your opportunity through Mastercraft. Yeah, we've opened doors, and this would be a very nice place because we're going to be building real world projects, cross functional team, and even if you're working your 9 to 5, or you're in school, or you have other things going on, you can do Mastercraft and do your thing. Like, it's possible to actually balance it all out. We'll also be doing resume optimization. We'll be looking at your resumes and making sure you have something that looks good when you're applying for your roles. LinkedIn optimization. Look, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn, and a lot of community. Yes. So I think with that, it's just for me to say thank you to each and every one of you. You guys are amazing, in case nobody has told you that today. And yes, I really hope to see you tomorrow for our next and final call at our Career Mastery Week, where we'll be having Joy Omari. She is a certified Scrum Master and a product manager. She will be talking about getting into product management. So you definitely want to be a part of that session. I think Philomena can attest that it's quite important to know what other people do, especially because when you're in the work environment, that's when you see where the fights and the fracases come up, especially when you don't understand what the person is doing. So yeah, you're always welcome. Yes, and that's it from me. Philomena, do you have a parting shot for us as we end?
I just say don't self-reject. Yeah,
Hmm.
teach yourself what the. I know there's been a lot of questions about beginning and calling yourself data scientist or starting to apply. When do you start to apply jobs? Do it. The worst that can happen is you not getting it. Just
Hmm.
yeah, do it and you learn along the way. Everybody starts from somewhere.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Do not self reject. Thank you so much, Philomena. We really do appreciate you. And that's it from us. Wishing everybody a good night and stay safe. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.